Alright, hey everyone, welcome to the champion fight against the PAX South champion. I mean, that's kind of redundant. Anyway, I'm fighting the dog champion, I don't remember his name, but Arthur, really good friend of mine. Team, very familiar to me because I helped him sort of build the team and gave him some ideas for what to use given certain sets and everything. So, this fight going in, he chose my fire team, and yeah, so we both kind of had weird aces backed up. I don't really know how to explain it. Anyway, he's going to lead up with Smeargle, like I told him to when I was making this, and I'm going to lead with my Nape, and I'm just going to go right for the U-turn here because I know he's going to go for either a Spore or a Sticky Web more than anything else, or Stealth Rock, because I know of those three things that he has, and that's about it. So I'm going to send my Torkoal just to get Drought up, just because, you know, Sun is nice for a fire team, and if he does go for Spore, which he does end up doing, Torkoal's probably the most expendable member outside of using Rapid Spin. And this Smeargle obviously is going to know Stealth Rock because, and is going to use it because, I mean, duh, this is a fire team. So I'm going to send in my Darmanitan on the Smeargle Stealth Rock, which I naturally predict because I'm just so good. And basically, now Darmanitan can threaten with the Superpower if it needs to, or excuse me, I don't run Superpower on this, never mind. It's going to go for Earthquake just to knock out this Smeargle because Smeargle is a pain in the butt. And no one wants to deal with that thing for longer than it has to. He actually was going to go for Sticky Web that turn, which probably would have been the better play than going for Spore turn 1, but, you know, it is what it is. Or excuse me, either way. So he's going to go into Suicune, which is something that I really can't beat, so I'm just going to try to outstall this thing with Earthquakes and everything. But it's this is where the game gets really interesting, because Suicune's going to come out, and this is actually Vincoon. I told him to use Vincoon because Sub-CM is really, really good just in this meta now compared to Crocoon, and he's going to go for the Protect. And so we're going to play a game of stalling, kind of, just to see where things go. Darmanitan is Scarf, obviously, so I can't do anything other than Earthquake, which isn't exactly a bad thing. I'm not taking any recoil damage. I can tank these Scalds in the sunlight, kind of, and I'm doing just enough damage to really put a dent into this Suicune without it being able to completely heal itself outside of Leftovers recovery. So the Scalds are coming out, and due to the sun having their damage, I'm able to tank 2, which is really good for me. And he's playing fairly predictably and cautiously as well, so naturally I can sort of assume that he will be going for a Scald Protect pattern as it comes out, and sure enough he does go for a Protect on the 4th turn out, and I'm just sort of spamming Earthquake because I know for a fact that if I get the Suicune low enough, I can come in and revenge kill it with something else. So naturally I'm just sort of spamming Earthquake, and he's going to go for a double Protect there, which is great for me. Actually, it's really, really good for me because now I get a free Earthquake with no chance for him to actually protect and everything too, and it's a critical hit. So that means that while I won't be able to live this upcoming Scald, I should be able to either knock out the Suicune on a roll with an Earthquake, or I'm able to get it very close to being knocked out, and preventing it from subbing at all. But turns out, I don't quite get the knockout, and he does go for the Scald, and it does in fact take out my Darmanitan, but that's not okay, because Darmanitan already beat the odds against like a bold Suicune. I mean, it's not every day that you can basically like nearly knock out a Suicune with this thing. So really, I'm feeling pretty good, so I can go right back out into my Infernape, and I know that this thing will outspeed, and I also know that it's lefties, so I can effectively just go right for whatever I feel like going for. Of course, he's going to switch out into Zydog here, because I told him to use it because it's really good. Zydog, so good. And I'm just going to go for a U-turn here, which gives me momentum again in this case. However, Zydog is really good against a fire team because it can literally just click 1,000 arrows and win. Case in point, this thing is a banded Zydog as well, and I know for a fact that this Tran is not going to live 1,000 arrows. Frankly, I'm not really sure why I went into Tran here. That was mostly a mistake on my part. I think I just forgot 1,000 arrows existed, which is weird, because you don't normally forget that kind of move exists. More or less it was to sack things too, because Tran didn't really have a good matchup versus anything else. So I go back into Infernape, and I know I outspeed, so I just go right for a close combat. hoping that it would knock out, but and sure enough it does, which is really, really good, because I've basically neutralized, or neutered this dog, if you will, which is really good for my team, because otherwise I know for a fact that Zydog would have just ran through everything. So in comes the Mega Minitrick, and I switch out into my Torkoal just to take a hit or two, reestablish some sun, maybe if I can wake up, get rid of the rocks with Rapid Spin. And so out comes the Drought. I was expecting the Mega Minitrick to come out, and sure enough, here it is. So Infernape staying in with Scarf would not really be beneficial for me, just because then I lose, I'm at -1 attack, and that's not really what you want to have. So Torkoal gets the Intimidate drop instead of Mega Minitrick, and Mega Minitrick does go for a Thunderbolt here, which does a lot to Torkoal, and that's not good, because now I basically have to sack Torkoal, and I don't get to get rid of rocks, or have more sun. So Torkoal goes down from the Volt Switch from Minitrick here, and out comes his Lucario. Now Lucario isn't something that was not terribly worried about here, because I can just go right back into Infernape and just click Close Combat, basically. Alternatively, I believe this Infernape is actually running Flare Blitz or Focus Blast or something. Or, I don't know, why would it be running Focus Blast? That's stupid. I just go for an Earthquake because I know it can deal with Mega Minitrick nicely. Excuse me. And this Lucario goes for all-out pummeling, which, like, I definitely didn't see coming, which is really good on Arthur's part. But so it goes. This Infernape, not happy that I'm going to be subject to all-out pummeling from a Luke, but it's okay. We're just going to get hit by a bunch of Auras, and yeah. So Infernape does go down, which is not what I wanted, especially because Infernape did deal pretty well with Mega Minitrick, but now I'm sort of stuck. So I go into my Charizard here, which is going to take a lot of damage from rocks, but this one is correctly EV'd, so I can effectively switch this in if I need to, and I'm just going to Mega right here and just go right for, I believe I just go right for the Earthquake. Or I either Dragon. He goes for Bullet Punch, which is again a good move on his part, just to get some chip on me, so I can't switch out effectively. I go for a Dragon Dance, which is actually going to probably be my saving grace here, just because that way I will be able to outspeed Mega Minitrick. And as you'll see here, he just goes for Bullet Punch again. And at this point, like, I could have gotten greedy and gone for a third Dragon Dance if I wanted to, but then I risk, or a second Dragon Dance, but then I risk possible Bullet Punch crits, and I really don't want to deal with that, so I just go for the safe play, Earthquake, knocking out the Lucario. I'm at +1 speed, +1 attack, so I'm in a pretty good spot right now. Out comes the Mega Minitrick here, and he's going to get that Intimidate that comes with Mega Minitrick, and he's got Arcanine in the back, which also should have either Intimidate or Flash Fire. I would assume it's Intimidate though, just because that's what I told him to use, because it's better in this case. And I just go for Earthquake, and it does knock out the Mega Minitrick. It's nice. So I'm still at +1 speed, but I'm going to be at -1 attack very shortly, and I know Arcanine has extreme speed, so I'm basically kind of going to have to rely on the one Pokemon that I have left. Or excuse me, no. I go for an Earthquake, and he goes for a Roar here. You'll see. I go for an Earthquake because I know it's not going to knock out, and that's a really bulky Arcanine, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't know if I can do this. He goes for a Roar, basically forcing out my final Pokemon, Volcarona, my incorrectly HP EV'd Volcarona, which I had brought to attention last fight against Dell. And basically now I'm at, like, okay, he's going to go for Roar, and if I don't knock this out with Inferno Overdrive, I lose. Because Volcarona can't switch back in, Charizard can't switch back in, so I am crossing my fingers right now that this Inferno Overdrive is going to be enough to knock out this Arcanine. And, like, the whole time, I was just sort of sitting there praying, like, my fingers crossed. I was pretty sure that it was not going to actually be able to knock out this Arcanine, but wouldn't you know, we get the knockout on Arcanine, so I do end up beating the champion of the PAX Pokemon League 2-0 here, and it's because I had the Sun out, and now the Suicune's just going to come out, but it's going to basically go down to a Giga Drain that I have from Volcarona. So technically it's not over yet, and he's got the Protect, but at this point, like, it's over because I know that this Volcarona has Giga Drain, and I can basically win out here. It was such a relieving feeling knowing that I had the Sun-boosted Inferno Overdrive. Had it been one turn later, I guarantee I would have lost this fight. But he tries to go for a double Protect, I just go for the Giga Drain, and I claim my victory. Thank God. Whew, that was one hell of a fight, and you know, the whole league experience is always really fun to do, and I'm really glad that this fight turned out as exciting as it did, because Arthur, really good friend of mine, and he and I sort of bounced around with like team building and everything. But anyway, good game. PAX Pokemon League, there's still a few more fights, so stick around.